Hey friends, I am doing a little laundry while I get some work done today. I'm working from home today, and yeah, no makeup, just t-shirt and leggings. I'm just chilling. So I just finished Mace Windu, The Glass Abyss. Loved it. So today, since I'm working from home, I thought, hey, I know this isn't on my pile of possibilities, but why not I just give Of Mice and Men a little read? It's a little novella. I want to get back into classics again. And I did not read the back of the book. I did not read the synopsis, didn't read any blurbs, did not read any reviews. So I was not ready for how heavy this piece was. But I totally respect why it's a classic. I did not know the characters were going to be this crude. I did not know that it would feature racism. I'm talking about some staunch, in your face bigotry. Like, ridiculous. And it's a novella. We're talking hand size. I have small hands. A hand size book that's only 117 pages. And I was doing laundry, so I saw it in my pile that I did not include in my pile of possibilities. But I thought, reading so many novellas this summer, this was probably going to be another one I would pick up. So I said I'll just listen to the audiobook. But, it was in the next room, so I thought I'd grab it to show you. This edition is from 19... Is that right? It says 65? No, 1988. This edition is from 1988. And I should have read the back. As I mentioned before, these are some heavy topics. So if you have not read Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck, it is a book of two men that seem to be traveling. Ooh, when was this published? It seemed like the 30s. It has a Depression era feel to it. 1937, first edition, 1937. This is spot on for the time period. So you have two men that are traveling together, which seems kind of strange to some people, as handymen, field hands, migrant workers. They have no family and supposedly not related. So that's what makes it kind of odd that they travel together. One is a smaller man who's fairly clever. The other is a very large man who functions on a lower intellectual level. Okay. And it's very obvious. And they have just left one farm or one ranch and arrived here at another. They have the proper paperwork, so to say, but in this line of work, everyone's suspicious of where you come from, what's your reputation. There's no internet, there's no Facebook, there's no Google to look up people's digital footprint or footprint period. You have to know someone that knows someone, and of course information does not travel as it just doesn't travel as fast. So they're not received warmly when they come to this new ranch, and it's mentioned as the story goes on that they have left a trouble at the previous employer, which had to do with this larger guy who basically doesn't know his own strength. Some trouble he got into with a younger woman, but the details are not given. They toss around that he doesn't know his own strength. So if you don't like to read books where animals are hurt, do not read this one. As I mentioned, he doesn't know his own strength. So when animals come into play, they get hurt, fatally injured. So the smaller person, whose name is George, has more or less been babysitting, caring for, babysitting the larger man. These are both white males, whose name is Lenny. So Lenny's the big guy. So they have a lot to prove, not just their worth in this new place, but also that they're clean. They have a clean bill of slate. On this ranch that they have made it to and found employment, they encounter, it's a motley crew. It really is just a mishmash group of people, some various ages and backgrounds. And one person in particular is the sole, only, and extremely lonely black man on this ranch who's also disabled. And this is a very short novella, and it ends, it's very dark, but not dark in a gothic sense. It's just dark events, pretty much one after the other, and it has sort of that hard boiled, but not in a detective way. Like I'm saying, it's 1937 when this is written, so it's a tough, gritty group of folks. I can't even remember if they even meet the man that owns the ranch, but his son. His son has a lot to prove. He's newly married. He's a very insecure man. And with these new young men, he feels threatened in a way. Then you have an old timer, who's almost at the end of his days and should be able to retire right now. And then you have the other character is Slim. Slim is, as I mentioned, seasoned and sort of an empathetic, very wise person. So here you have these two traveling men who are leaving some trouble behind that they're very hush hush about because of this larger friend who doesn't know his own strength. And from there, you see the worst of American society at that time, including very staunch, brazen, blatant racism. So, if you don't want to know any more about the book after this point, I suggest that you click off, give it a read. I think this was like 118 pages, 117 pages, and then come back, 118, and then come back and tell us what you think of it. So, spoilers. There is a lot packed in this very short novella that I was not ready for. The desperation of these two travelers for a better life was heartbreaking. But I do appreciate it, how it was delivered by Mr. Steinbeck. So Lenny, the big guy, when he gets into trouble, he finds comfort in remembering something that George says, or like it's like a tale. It's a like a folklore, and it is basically um, them meeting, making it to the promised land, their promised land, where they have their own home, they don't work. It's really the American dream. They have their own home, they don't work for anyone else. They live off the fat of the land. That's expressed a lot, where they can have the animals that they want, the amenities that they want in life, and not be treated harshly. To be their own men, you know, so, with this dream that they have, it's sort of contagious in the book because they're traveling and living among other people who would like that same amount of freedom. So, these men, although white, still do not feel free because of how they're treated such an underhanded type of way, and basically as criminals, the way that they're investigated when they make it to, but to some extent you understand because there are no background checks with Google and FBI, site searches that we have now. It's just word of mouth. And in 1937, word does not travel very fast, even in the newspapers. So you can imagine to some extent how claustrophobic their situation can seem, even though they're traveling. I think this was out west. Even though they're traveling out west in these vast spaces, their world is so small and so confining. It's so sad. It's so depressing. I was not anticipating that. And so with them, like I said, this promised land that they talk to each other about and encourages them to just keep going and keep on has been picked up and what's the word? And encouraged that it can happen sooner than they think by other co-workers, other employees, other hands. But of course, it's a novella, so the plot's going to keep plotting. What I appreciated, if you've already seen this, I'm going to talk about just what I appreciated. What I appreciated so much was the way that Mr. Steinbeck shared the insights of what life is in different stages of life and culture, as well as how to survive regardless, and the unease when you are marginalized. And this is not just about race, it's also about status, just out on the margins in general. I appreciated too the dignity that he gave to some characters, and also a different view of desperation. It was just, oh. So right now, I'm actually thinking of Crooks, who is, unfortunately, I hate that nickname, who is a disabled black man who is isolated among his contemporaries because of his race. He's not included in anything. He's shunned. He's the pariah, not due to anything that he has caused, but simply because of his race. Just because of his race. This is a very skilled man. To some extent, though, he has some protection because he has like his own little apartment, with comforts. But still, there's so much loneliness in that space, and he's very resentful of this confinement that he's built for himself to be secure and safe within those walls. But he knew it would only take one negative thing, and I appreciate that being brought out, or one lie by a white female. That was very interesting that Mr. Steinbeck, how he brought that out. So on this ranch, you also have this newlywed couple, the owner's son, Curly. I forget his wife's name. They about didn't even say that woman's name. I can't remember. She was just, ugh. They did. I think they did say her name. I can't remember. But anyway, so she threatens this man, this innocent man, because she doesn't like how he's speaking to her, and doesn't even say what she would threaten, just lets him know the power that she has over him, despite knowing that he's completely innocent and it's all her. Mr. Steinbeck, I didn't anticipate that being written in 1937, not by a person of color. Like, that really threw me. I also liked another point where it really, really, this was very insightful to me, how he showed that even in where you feel safe, what is it called? It's your safe place. You still have to be on guard. There was another scene, I guess you can call it scene, another part in the story where no one is supposed to be around this black man. And Lenny finds his way with him because he can't go where everyone else is going because he makes terrible decisions. He doesn't even know how to make decisions. Poor Lenny. And so Crooks, the black guy, tells him, you're not supposed to be here. Nobody's supposed to be here. And so Lenny, in his innocence, is asking, well, or naivety, why aren't you with everyone else too? It's just us here. And he said, well, I'm not even allowed to play cards with you guys just because I'm black. So I'm the pariah because of that. And so this is so sad. This is a different angle. And I just thought about something else. So in explaining to him the racism that he is living with on a day-to-day basis among all these people that he lives with, where it's absolutely treated as though it's okay to do this. He then in turn, because he's hurts someone he thinks is in a lower position than him or is easily manipulated. So that was another, I hate to say good example, but it was, of hurt people hurting people. So with him and all his bitterness, he hurts Lenny, someone who's actually trying to be his friend despite his limitations. But the awareness that I did not anticipate was, like I mentioned before, they all began to talk about this promised land. And just to cut it short, I'm just going to call it the promised land. Okay. The land of milk and honey for them. George comes back from an outing with the guys and finds Lenny and other people with crooks. And not only does he tell Lenny, you shouldn't be here, he then turns to Crooks and tells him, you shouldn't have even allowed him in at that moment. Because in this situation that's been dealt and handed to Crooks, you can never let your guard down. While Crooks was willing to go with them and be a part of this assembly of people, this exodus to the promised land, he recognizes the racism in George in just saying those few things. Turning to him like, this is the way things are, this is the way things are, you're never accepted, period. So Crooks, that's basically what he's saying to him. And Crooks goes, what I was saying, that I would basically work for free, living on this land that y'all talked about, that George doesn't even know they had this discussion. He's like, I don't want it anymore. I don't want it anymore. I love that insight was written in. There's so much I can say, so much I can say on what that can mean, especially to people in 1937. And mind you, it's also mentioned, he says, I am not a Southern black man. I am not a Southern black man. He is from California. So, y'all, it said so much. I just didn't expect. I don't know how to explain. I'm going to let that go for a minute. And then sometimes when I think of Lenny too, I feel like Lenny is like King Kong. If you've seen the old 1920s or 30s version with Fay Ray, Lenny gives me those King Kong type of not being aware of his strength and his power and how other people are affected by it, and he goes down like King Kong to some extent. King Kong goes down with the fight, but Lenny's internal fight is just so pitiful. Oh, I didn't expect that either, for him to have like for there to be like a psychotic overtone to this. This was a very heavy, this was a very heavy hitter for it just be 118 pages. I needed to talk about this to lift it, like lift the solemnness and despair that stirred in me, because it was just that heavy. There are lots of triggers in this book. I am not recommending that anyone read that I know. I don't think anyone that I know would enjoy this book. I really don't think so. This was it was so depressing, and I don't agree that it's a beautiful piece. I find it to be, the word beautiful just doesn't fit. I find this to be insightful and, I won't say tantalizing, but it's a masterpiece. But I wouldn't necessarily classify it as beautifully written, but it is masterfully written. I don't regret reading it. I know I wouldn't read it again. I totally get the point in the book. I totally, even the parts that I'm not talking about, the psychology of it, that I'm not, I don't have to. I think if you read it and you enjoyed it, you get that. So I'm not going to go into those points about the different characters and sometimes representations and imagery too. I'm not going to go into that. But I'm so glad we talked about this because I needed to get this off my chest. This was a really heavy read for it to be such a short novella. But that is what I was looking for. So yes, I have a very heaping pile of possibilities to read for this summer. But that's the reason I picked it. I'm gonna be so busy. I don't want to start on anything that's 600, 400 pages and have to put it down and not know when I can put it up again. I'm really looking forward to these. They're not lighter reads, these shorter reads. So mid spring, it's already kicking off to a good start. And I hope that I can do this again with you guys instead of reading wrap ups, just short reviews and see what you think about it in with this type of wrap up. If you like this, if you enjoy this, please let me know in the comments. Please, I'm going to ask. Please in the comments let me know, how did you like, what did you not like about Of Mice and Men? Woo! Like I said, I probably won't be picking this up. This is probably going to go in my donation pile, but it really and truly is an incredible story. Steinbeck's a great storyteller. So I will see you guys in the next one, and you take care.